The 1970s produced some of cinema's most unflinching war films, but many were buried by studios uncomfortable with their anti-war messages or commercial failures. These forgotten films deserve recognition for their courage and artistic merit. The Boys in Company C, 1978.
All officers into the air raid shelter now! Go, go!
Sidney J. Fury's Vietnam War drama, made for $3 million and earning $4.2 million domestically, arrived just before Hollywood was ready to embrace Vietnam cinema. The film followed 5 Marine recruits from boot camp through their harrowing tour of duty, presenting an unvarnished look at military incompetence and the psychological toll of an unpopular war. What made The Boys in Company C controversial was its unflinching depiction of drug use among American soldiers, corruption within military leadership, and the senseless violence that characterized much of the Vietnam conflict. The film showed Marines more concerned with survival than victory, directly challenging heroic war movie conventions that studios preferred. Columbia Pictures gave the film minimal promotion and limited theatrical release, uncomfortable with its anti-establishment message during a period when America was still processing the Vietnam defeat. Critics who saw it praised the authentic performances and realistic portrayal of combat. But audiences weren't ready for such brutal honesty about American military failure. The film's influence on later Vietnam cinema is significant, predating and arguably inspiring more famous works like Platoon and Full Metal Jacket. Its realistic boot camp sequences and combat scenes established many conventions for depicting the Vietnam experience on screen. 9. Go Tell the Spartans, 1978.
Here we come! Where are we? I mean, geographically, where are we?
This prescient Vietnam War film, starring Burt Lancaster and made for just $1.5 million, depicted American military advisors in 1964 South Vietnam, before major U.S. combat involvement. The film's limited release and box office failure of under $1 million reflected distributor uncertainty about audiences' appetite for Vietnam-themed entertainment. Lancaster plays Major Asa Barker, a World War II veteran who recognizes the futility of American involvement in Vietnam while being powerless to prevent the escalating disaster. The film's title, referencing the Spartan defeat at Thermopylae, signals its tragic view of American intervention in Southeast Asia. What made Go Tell the Spartans ahead of its time was its focus on the early advisory period rather than the later large-scale combat operations that dominated most Vietnam films. The movie accurately predicted how American involvement would expand despite early warning signs of failure, making it eerily prophetic about the conflict's ultimate outcome. Distributors struggled to market the film, uncertain whether audiences wanted to revisit Vietnam so soon after the war's end. The studio buried it with minimal advertising and limited theatrical runs, despite positive critical reception and Lancaster's committed performance. Modern viewers can appreciate its historical accuracy and prescient warnings about American foreign intervention. 8. Overlord, 1975.
Get down there! Get down!
Stuart Cooper's experimental World War II film, made for just £90,000, combined fictional narrative with authentic archival footage to create a unique meditation on D-Day and individual sacrifice. The film's innovative approach confused distributors who couldn't determine how to market such an unconventional war movie. The story follows a young British soldier from training through the Normandy invasion, using real footage from Imperial War Museum archives, seamlessly integrated with newly shot material. Cooper's technique creates an almost documentary feel that makes the fictional elements feel historically authentic and emotionally immediate. What made Overlord unmarketable was its experimental style and contemplative pace, completely different from action-oriented war films audiences expected. The movie focuses on one soldier's psychological journey rather than large-scale battle sequences, making it more art film than commercial entertainment. Despite initial commercial failure and limited release, Overlord has been recognized as a masterpiece of British cinema. The Criterion Collection's restoration brought renewed attention to Cooper's innovative filmmaking techniques and the movie's powerful anti-war message. Its influence can be seen in later films that blend archival footage with fiction, proving that experimental approaches to war cinema can be profoundly effective when executed with skill and sensitivity. 7. A Bridge Too Far, 1977.
Colonel, if you don't look at him right now, he's going to die.
Richard Attenborough's $26 million epic about Operation Market Garden earned $50.7 million worldwide, but was considered a disappointment by United Artists, who expected bigger returns from such an expensive all-star production. The studio's marketing emphasized spectacle over the film's actual message about military failure and strategic incompetence. Despite featuring Sean Connery, Michael Caine, Robert Redford, and other major stars, the film presents Allied forces as fallible and often incompetent, directly challenging the heroic narrative that dominated World War II cinema. The movie accurately depicts how poor planning and communication led to devastating casualties during the failed airborne operation. United Artists buried the film's anti-heroic message in marketing that promised conventional war movie thrills, misleading audiences who expected triumphant Allied victory rather than tragic defeat. Critics praised the film's historical accuracy and production values, but studio executives were uncomfortable promoting a movie that depicted Allied failure. The film's reputation has improved over time as historians have validated its accurate portrayal of Market Garden's strategic failures. Modern audiences can appreciate Attenborough's commitment to historical truth over patriotic mythology, making it one of the most honest World War II films ever produced. Its influence on later war cinema that questions military competence and glorification of conflict demonstrates its lasting importance despite initial commercial disappointment. The Big Red One, 1980. Samuel Fuller's autobiographical World War II film, made for $4 million and earning $7.2 million, suffered from extensive studio interference that resulted in a severely truncated theatrical release. Fuller's original vision wasn't fully realized until a restored director's cut was released decades later, revealing the film's true artistic merit. Lee Marvin stars as a grizzled sergeant leading his squad through North Africa, Sicily, Normandy, and into Germany, based on Fuller's own combat experiences with the 1st Infantry Division. The film combines brutal combat realism with moments of dark humor and genuine humanity, reflecting Fuller's complex relationship with his wartime service. Lorimar Pictures demanded extensive cuts that removed crucial character development and narrative coherence, resulting in a confused theatrical version that failed to convey Fuller's artistic vision. The studio was uncomfortable with the film's graphic violence and ambiguous attitude toward heroism, preferring more conventional war movie approaches. The restored director's cut reveals The Big Red One as Fuller's masterpiece, a deeply personal reflection on combat that balances realistic violence with profound insights about survival and brotherhood. Mark Hamill's performance as a young soldier provides emotional center to Fuller's episodic narrative structure. The film's influence on later war cinema that emphasizes psychological realism over action spectacle demonstrates its importance to the genre's evolution. 5. Twilight's Last Gleaming, 1977.
Power! The real power! Begin your attack.
Robert Aldrich's nuclear thriller, made for $5.5 million but earning only $2.8 million domestically, proved too controversial for post-Watergate audiences already suspicious of government conspiracies. The film's anti-military themes and conspiracy plot made distributors nervous about promoting such inflammatory content during a sensitive political period. Burt Lancaster plays a rogue Air Force general who seizes control of a nuclear missile silo, threatening to start World War III unless the government reveals classified documents about Vietnam War deceptions. The film presents military leadership as corrupt and willing to sacrifice lives for political advantage, directly challenging American faith in defense institutions. Allied artists gave the film minimal promotion and limited release, uncomfortable with its paranoid themes and anti-establishment message. The movie's depiction of military-industrial complex corruption felt too realistic for audiences still processing revelations about government deception during Vietnam and Watergate scandals. Critics praised Lancaster's intense performance and Aldrich's tight direction, but the film's political themes made it commercially toxic during a period when Americans wanted to restore faith in their institutions. Modern viewers can appreciate its prescient warnings about nuclear weapons and military accountability, making it more relevant today than when originally released. Number 4. Cross of Iron, 1977. Sam Peckinpah's Eastern Front epic, made for $6 million but earning only $3.2 million domestically, presented German soldiers sympathetically during the height of World War II cinema's popularity. The film's humanization of Wehrmacht troops and extreme violence made American distributors uncomfortable marketing it to audiences expecting clear moral distinctions. James Coburn stars as Steiner, a battle-hardened sergeant who clashes with his aristocratic commanding officer while fighting Soviet forces on the Russian front. The film presents German soldiers as complex individuals rather than faceless enemies, focusing on class conflict and military politics rather than ideological warfare. Embassy Pictures gave the film limited release, uncertain how to market a war movie that presented enemy soldiers as protagonists. American audiences weren't ready for such moral complexity in World War II films, preferring clear heroes and villains to Peckinpah's ambiguous character studies. The film's reputation has improved dramatically among critics who recognize it as Peckinpah's masterpiece, combining his signature violent style with sophisticated character development. 3. Coming Home, 1978. Despite eventually earning $32.7 million on a $3 million budget, Coming Home initially faced studio resistance due to its controversial subject matter and Jane Fonda's political activism. United Artists executives were nervous about promoting a film that directly challenged American involvement in Vietnam while featuring one of the war's most prominent critics. Jon Voight and Jane Fonda deliver career-defining performances as a paralyzed veteran and military wife who begin an affair while her husband serves in Vietnam. The film explores how the war damaged both those who fought and those who stayed home, presenting veterans as complex individuals rather than heroic symbols or damaged victims. The studio's initial reluctance stemmed from Fonda's controversial anti-war activism and the film's frank discussion of veteran disability and psychological trauma. United Artists worried that audiences wouldn't accept such serious treatment of veteran issues from an actress many considered unpatriotic for her Vietnam War opposition. Critical acclaim and strong word of mouth eventually made Coming Home a commercial success, earning multiple Academy Awards and changing how Hollywood approached veteran stories. 2. Who Will Stop the Rain, 1978.
To us, or we'll kill you.
They want you to bring it down.
Negative.
Based on Robert Stone's novel Dog Soldiers, this post-Vietnam thriller earned only $2.1 million on a $3.5 million budget, reflecting United Artists' minimal promotion of such controversial material. The film's themes of government corruption, drug trafficking, and social decay made studios uncomfortable during a period of national healing. Nick Nolte stars as Ray Hicks, a merchant marine who becomes involved in a heroin smuggling operation connected to Vietnam corruption. The film presents America as morally compromised by the war, showing how conflict's corruption infected domestic society through drugs, violence, and institutional breakdown. The studio buried the film with limited advertising and theatrical release, uncomfortable with its paranoid themes and anti-government message. Stone's Pulitzer Prize-winning novel provided source material too dark and complex for mainstream audiences expecting clearer moral distinctions between heroes and villains. Critics praised the film's authentic portrayal of post-Vietnam disillusionment and strong performances from Nolte, Tuesday Weld, and Michael Moriarty. The movie's influence on later films about war's domestic impact demonstrates its prescient understanding of how foreign conflicts affect American society. First Tracks, 1976. Henry Jaglam's experimental drama, made for just $800,000, received virtually no theatrical release due to its avant-garde style and uncomfortable subject matter. The film follows a traumatized soldier escorting his dead friend's body across America, using stream-of-consciousness narrative techniques that confuse distributors seeking conventional entertainment. Dennis Hopper delivers a haunting performance as the damaged veteran whose psychological breakdown unfolds during his cross-country journey. Jaglom's improvisational style and non-linear structure create an impressionistic portrait of war trauma that feels more like poetry than traditional narrative cinema. No major distributor would handle the film, considering it too experimental and depressing for commercial release. The movie's frank depiction of veteran mental illness and anti-war themes made it commercially toxic during a period when Americans wanted to forget Vietnam rather than examine its psychological casualties. These buried films prove the 1970s was cinema's most honest decade about war's true cost. Studios feared their anti-establishment messages, but time has vindicated their artistic courage. These forgotten masterpieces deserve rediscovery for their unflinching examination of conflict's human toll. Subscribe for more hidden cinema gems.